So as we begin our discussion of the leadership matrix, let's remember we have now a general description of servant leadership. We've looked at Jesus as the suffering servant leader, Paul as the sent steward, and then what character, humility, and identity have to do with the leader. Now we want to step back and look at some of the broader aspects of leadership. And what I want you to know here is that when we look at what I call the leadership matrix, you might not be the problem of why you're not being effective as a leader. So leadership involves at least the following four elements. You have the person of the leader, the relationship between the leader and the followers, the task that the leader attempts to accomplish, and then the influence of the context or setting in which the leader leads. So these four elements come from the observation of Banks and Ledbetter in their book, Reviewing Leadership, A Christian Evaluation of Current Approaches. Let's start with the followers. Servant leaders recruit and equip followers to complete the mission that has been entrusted to the leader and then passed on to the followers. They are the face, hands, and feet of the mission. Followers can be assets or detriments to the leader. And I'll offer this, followers often have the final say in who truly leads. Now, there are different types of followers. Barbara Kellerman, in her book, Followership, I guess was the most popular of these, has everything from isolates to diehards, and she identifies and describes who these followers are. Joseph Ross, in his book, Leadership for the 21st Century, makes this very clear observation about followers. He said, most important, followers do not do followership. They do leadership. Both leaders and followers form one relationship that is leadership. Stephen Crowther, in his book, Biblical Servant Leadership from Regent University, says that servant followership is important because servant leaders can produce servant followers, producing a cycle of love and serving. The foundation is about the followers and equipping them, and servant followers could possibly even help produce servant leaders. Let's talk context. This includes the setting, culture, and values in which the leader is assigned to lead. And we're going to talk specifically about culture and its influence on leadership in a later session. Look, the influence of culture should not be underestimated. It is one factor that influences every other single process within an organization. You know the Peter Drucker statement, or it was attested to him, culture eats strategy for breakfast, and that means lunch and dinner. And we'll talk about this later specifically, but where you are, the culture of the organization, the values of the followers, the context in which you serve has everything to do with your effectiveness as a leader, and we must pay attention to that. Resources limit or enhance the leader's ability to implement strategies and to add personnel. So it's important as a leader to know what your resources are and what are available. What are your financial resources? How are you connected to other leaders and teams? Who can you call on to help in a time of impasse? And what are some intangible resources like prayer and encouragement from others? Followers, context, or culture, and resources make up 3/4 of this matrix that comprise your effectiveness as a leader. So the fourth component is your mission or your task. The clarity, scope, and urgency of the mission influence significantly the matrix of leadership. So a mission statement is more than a saying on a wall. We have our mission statement on a wall in our entryway here at B.H. Carroll. And that's nice to have, but until everyone can say it, which most people can't, and we've reduced it to where we can say it, and that is we equip missional leaders. And that is what answers the question of why. Why does this entity called B.H. Carroll exist? Well, we exist. Our why is to equip missional leaders. So mission, or the task that you've been given, answers the question of why of the group. In other words, the reason I get up in the morning is to equip missional leaders, and that guides me throughout the day. The question is, can your mission, or what you've asked people to do, fit on the front of a t-shirt or a baseball cap? So for example, the Great Commission, go make disciples of all people, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe everything I've commanded you. That won't fit on a t-shirt, definitely not a baseball cap. So to help our folks understand, when I was a pastor, that our mission, our reason for being, was to help people trust Jesus. And so on Monday morning, what was their task? They're there to help people trust Jesus. So when we look at this task that we've been given, that one in particular, to make disciples of all people, it is so big that the leader can't do that by himself or herself. And so even the mission, if you're given a task beyond your capabilities, it's important to have all aspects of this matrix in place. The mission must address an urgent need, because the lack of urgency creates bureaucracy, just more things to do, and it creates laziness in the followers. So a clear mission statement with urgency then guides the other aspects of the matrix. It focuses resources, it focuses your followers, and it then creates a culture in which leadership happens. So you may not be the problem of why your leadership is not working. Again, it may be, but don't forget that as you lead, where you lead, what you have to lead with, the size of the tasks that you've been given, and the attitude of the followers that you have either recruited or have in your care will determine your leadership ability. Now then, let's talk in the next session specifically about the power of culture and context on leadership.